Hey guys, and welcome to our course navigation video. I just wanted to show you how our course is set up in BeachBoard so that way you are familiar with where to find certain pieces of information. The first thing you'll notice is that this video is showing you a course shell. So because I have certain restrictions in place, I can't show you your course because if I showed it in student view it wouldn't look right. But in this kind of nav bar course picture section, it should have the section you are enrolled in as well as the course number. Underneath that I've included kind of a quick link section, so this is pretty much all of the welcome videos that you have access to. The syllabus review, course navigation, the video I'm putting together now will be linked there. If you want to use the virtual lab to access any of the Microsoft programs, or if you also want to look at how you can access transcripts and YouTube videos for our class, these are links that you have access to all semester. Underneath that is our kind of get started module widget, which you've probably already seen if you're this far. Once you're done with the Get Started module and you want to collapse this widget, all you have to do is click on the drop-down menu, collapse widget, and then it goes away. On the right-hand side, you'll see all of your calendar dates that are associated with the course. So you'll see when things become available, when availability ends, when things are due, that type of thing. So you kind of get a snapshot of what's due in the class. You can adjust this to show more or less, kind of based on your personal preferences. To the left of that is the news section, so this will be where all of our announcements for the class go. Typically in announcements I send something out when content is released. I'll tell you what's due for the week, what the topic is that we're covering for the week, what assignments are attached to that module, any other updates if related to grading, if there's feedback posted, that type of thing. So that's the news section. Underneath that you'll have access to all of the student resources that or at least the major resources that I've linked in the course syllabus. Underneath the calendar is my instructor contact information, so I have linked my email address, the Calendly website for scheduling office hours appointments, as well as the meeting link when we meet over Zoom. I have my instructor bio, that way you can kind of know a little bit more about me if you feel like reading into that. At the bottom, we have kind of it's a widget that ATS has set up with other types of resources specifically related to accessibility. So that's kind of our course home page. In the content section, this is going to be the area you will be interacting with the most in the course. So BeachBoard should show up to you as the original version that we all know and love. There is a newer version or view available. I personally don't like it, but you should see something that looks like this. In the overview tab, this is where you're going to find your course syllabus. So I've provided you guys with a OneDrive link. It's a view-only link, so when you click on it, it'll bring up an online Word window, and then you have the option to download the file from there. I also have the syllabus linked under here. The reason why I like the OneDrive link is because if I have to make any changes to the schedule or any updates, I will always email you about it, but the OneDrive link is automatically going to get updated versus this one I have to remember to come back and drag and drop a new file in. So if you want a quick reference to the syllabus, this little one might be good, but if you want to download the most recent version, then I would definitely go off of this link here. Underneath that, we have our table of contents. So this is pretty much what the course is going to end up looking like by the end of the semester. Since we're doing parts or sections of content within the class, you guys won't see all of these modules on the side just yet. I'll release them as we go through the sections. That way you're not kind of overwhelmed with too much stuff to look at. But the first section in our content tab is Contact the Instructor. So this has a summary of how you get a hold of me if you're not using the course homepage links. So in here I have my email linked, as well as information that you should include when you email. So make sure you start your subject with Kin 315 so I know which class you're coming from, because I am teaching another class this semester as well. The reason you're emailing, okay, whether it be a general course question, if it's an assignment question. If it's an assignment question, maybe put like a question activity 1, right? So just so that I kind of have a general idea of what you're going to be addressing. You can include any relevant attachments. So if HK Propel isn't working and you get an error message, you can take a screenshot, add the attachments to your email, and then just make sure you sign your email with your name. That way I know who you are. If you're using your campus email, which you should be using to contact me, Outlook is pretty good at making sure your name is attached with your email, but just in case, please sign your emails. The link to my email is right here, so you can use that, and it should take you straight to whatever mailing app you use in your computer. Underneath that is all of our office hours links. So I have the Calendly link here for you guys to schedule office hours appointments. Both of these are the same link, so they should take you to the same place. And then our meeting link for Zoom is here and here. Now, what Calendly looks like, if you haven't used it before, you can schedule office hours up to 7 days in advance. Make sure that you change the time zone so you're signing up for the right time. I set this calendar up with a default of Pacific Standard Time, so that should be what shows up on your end, but if not, just double check the time zone. If you click on a date, you will see what I've input for my availability for meeting times. Office hours are every 30 minutes, so you click a time, sign up for it, you'll get a confirmation email, and then also a reminder email about 12 hours in advance to make sure you remember that you scheduled an appointment. So that's office hours stuff. I've also linked the syllabus in here as well, just in case you forget to go in the overview section, because several students do. Underneath this Contact the Instructor, I have the HK Propel set up. So in the syllabus, I have linked basically this little spiel here. All of the ISBN numbers that you might want to access, whether you're purchasing the book and an access code or just the HK Propel access code. So those are links for purchasing. Technical support, this is the email that you can send any technical related questions to. There's also a frequently asked questions page on their Human Kinetics website with regards to accessing HK Propel and other type of student content, especially if you're using like an ebook or something of the sort. I've linked the login to HK Propel here. I would recommend making a bookmark for HK Propel. That way, whenever you have assignments, like I have one up here in my Chrome browser, so I can click on it, takes me straight to where my assignments are, and I don't know, I just think bookmarking would be easier, but if you want to go to this link for login, that's where it's located. Once you get an access code, I've got 2 sections on basically how you get started in the class. So first you'll have to register an HK Propel account and insert the access code that you have purchased. The access code should be sent to you in an email. unless you all bought a hard copy of the book, and sometimes the access code is included inside like the front cover of the book. So these are instructions on how you get started in making an HK Propel account. Once you make the account, you have to insert a class enrollment token. So that token is specifically attached to the class that I have created in HK Propel, and that will allow you to see all of the course content that I assign to you guys. These will specifically be applicable to the activities that we do on a weekly basis. So you'll insert your class enrollment token, and you should get access to the class that I've set up. Okay. Underneath the HK Propel section, I have the course OneDrive. So all course content that you need in this class will be linked in the respective modules. But if you can't find something for some reason, you can always go to the OneDrive folder and then find stuff in there. OneDrive is set up very similarly to how I have things like foldered and organized in BeachBoard, so you should be able to find what you're looking for. But if you want to use the OneDrive folder to download content, everything is set to view only. So you shouldn't be able to edit anything. If you notice that you are able to edit something, please email me right away so I can change the settings. That way people don't mess with the formats of activities and whatnot. The Get Started module should be where you're already located. A friendly reminder, you do need to complete all of the module checklist items before you get access to module 1. So if I click on this checklist, it's going to look a little bit different because I'm not in a student view, but you have to go into the checklist and manually, click off on each little bubble that you've completed that task in order to get access to week 1 materials. That's just making sure you've done all of your course orientation stuff, you know where to find things, that type of thing. Okay, so that's a checklist. The assignments associated with this module are the quiz, which will go over kind of key syllabus points that I want you guys to know about before you get started in the class. There's the discussion to introduce yourself to your classmates, and then there's an optional pre-semester survey that you can take for extra credit. Just gives me an idea of kind of who you are, where you're at, if there's anything I should be concerned about, if there's anything you're concerned about, etc. Okay. As far as our weekly modules, I have the class split into 4 sections, which you will have seen on the syllabus video. I will release these modules as we go, so you should see part 1 with modules 1, 2, and 3, as well as the dates that they will be released. So in this main part 1 area, I kind of give you the exam that all of these topics are related to, and then there's a brief description of what each module discusses, as well as important due dates that are associated with those modules. You can click on each module individually, and for each module you will see a topic, the start and end date of that module, as well as the assignments and the percent of your final grade that those assignments are contributing towards. I also like to show how much of your final grade you have completed up to a certain point, or for each module. That way you kind of can gauge okay, well, how much work do we have left for this semester? Is my grade a concern at this point? That type of thing. If you want to know more about MLOs, which are your module learning objectives, and you want to see how they align with certain activities, I do have a spreadsheet that kind of outlines how, what the objectives are and how they align with the quiz and activity, that type of thing. So if you want to see that, you can click here. In the past, I've had students who said I was too much to read if I put it all on the module page, so I've kind of just made it an option if you want to view them. For module checklists, these are optional for you guys to use. The only required one that you have to actually go through is the Get Started module. But just to show you what the checklists will look like on a weekly basis, Usually the first section will be lecture related. So I have your lecture materials linked, both PowerPoint and PDF versions. I give you both of these because personally, I like PDF versions because I can insert printouts into OneNote and then take notes in an iPad. Sometimes I do include notes in the PowerPoint slide, so if I ever do that, I would let you know about it in the lecture video. But you have two options or types of downloads that you can access your lecture materials through. I'll give you guys lecture video links, as well as the approximate time that it should take you without stopping. So if you start, stop, rewind, replay an entire section, that watch time is obviously going to be different for everybody, but if you just went straight through the videos, that's the approximate number that will be reported in that section. So I recommend you do your lectures first. Review that material. When you feel comfortable with it, you can take the quiz that's associated with that lecture material. And then I would recommend working on the activity. So I'll post an activity instructions video, so that way you know where to access your content in HK Propel. If there's any specific instructions that you might need to know to complete the activity, and then I usually go through all of the questions just to clarify what each one is asking for. You'll then complete that activity assignment, so I've linked the materials in here. This document, or the activity document that you get every week, will have both the instructions as well as the answer sheet. So what you will do is you have instructions within that document to copy and paste your questions into a separate document. That way you're just submitting your answers and not all of the background information that I include. I've also linked grading rubrics so you can kind of see what content your answers should have, as well as how I will be doing point deductions if you forget to write something or whatnot. Okay, so those sometimes are nice to reference if you want to. But that's pretty much what's in the checklist. So as you complete items, you click on a bubble, it checks it off. There's a progress bar that you can keep track of so you can see how much of the work you've completed and how much you have left for the week. I personally like the checklists. I've had a solid 60 to 70% of, last semester was the first time I tried checklists, and about 67% of the students really liked them. Some people didn't use them. If you're one of the people who elects to not use a checklist, I do have all of our module content linked in the module. So underneath the checklist, all of your lecture materials are located. So your lecture PDF files, any lecture videos, or links to YouTube. And then all of your assignments are also linked down here. So the quiz folder will have the link to the quiz in BeachBoard, and then the activity will have the instructions video, as well as any of the answer sheets and the Dropbox link, that type of thing. Okay, so that's what your weekly modules will look like. The very last tab in this toolbar on the side is going to be any campus resources that you might need access to. These are kind of the bigger ones that you might use throughout the semester. All of these are linked on the course homepage, so you kind of have options on where to access information. Other support resources are going to be under this support drop down over here. For grades, our grade book is going to be set up basically how I outlined it in your syllabus. So I use weighted grades. So there will be grade categories, such as our Get Started module, and then in each of those categories we have the different grade items that are contributing to this weight. If this setup doesn't make sense to you, I'm always happy to meet with you and explain it over Zoom. I will also be posting kind of a student grade calculator, so you can go in and then put in how many points the assignment is worth, what the grade weight is, and then it can calculate it for you as you go through this semester, because BeachBoard is not always accurate in calculating things the way that I want them to. But especially when it comes to extra credit, if there is a star next to a grade item, that means it's a bonus item. So it doesn't actually have a weight in the class. It just adds to your final course grade. Okay, but the grade book is where you're going to keep track of all of your assignments to make sure that you're staying on track. In the Dropbox section, this is where you're going to be turning in your activities. So in this section, you'll see due dates, when they start, when they end. You'll also see a feedback column. Your view is going to look a little bit different than mine because mine is set up in the instructor view, but you should see how many submissions you've made to a certain folder, and then if there's any feedback that has been published with that submission. I grade using Rubrics within BeachBoard, so in the feedback section you should have access to your grading rubric, and within that rubric you should be able to see the feedback comments that I've inserted. I think you might also be able to view those in the grade book, but I never turn in assignments as an instructor, so I never get the actual student view. But if you have any problems accessing feedback, please let me know, and then we can Zoom and screen share, and then I can help you figure out how to find things. In the quizzes tab, this is where you're going to take your weekly quizzes. Each quiz will give you a set of instructions. It'll tell you how many questions you're getting. Sometimes if we cover multiple chapters in a certain module, you'll get a random set of questions from one chapter and a random set of questions from another chapter. But this is where you'll be able to find your module quizzes. Once I start assigning exams, there will be another blue line category that says exams. And those will be through Lockdown Browser and Respondus Monitor. So I will also give you guys a test link where you can double check to make sure that Lockdown Browser is working properly on your computer before you actually go into the exam. Okay. We won't really be using any discussions in this class. We might use discussions for one of the last activities, like activity 8 or 9, but I'm still deciding if I want to do that this semester, so I will update you on that as we get further in. Classlist, I'm not going to click on that because it opens up personal information that is not in the student view, but Classlist is where you can email any of your classmates. It's another place where you can email me. The rubric section is where you can access any of the grading rubrics that are attached to assignments in the course. So if you don't want to download the PDF version, you could look at the rubrics through that link there and just find the respective assignment for the rubric you're looking for. Course surveys can be found in this link. Usually if you have a survey associated with the module, I will put that survey link in that module. Pretty much for our class, it's just the pre-semester survey and the post-semester survey, which I usually will give to you in some way, shape, or form. So if you want to access course surveys through this link, you can. I've already told you how to access other support resources through this tab, and then I don't know if all of these will fit in the student view for you guys, but if you do have a more link, if some of these get bumped off of the nav bar, they'll be located in the more section. In order to set up BeachBoard notifications, you'll want to click on your profile or your name, picture, whatever. I'm not going to click on any of these because when I do, the screens that pop up end up showing my personal information. So in order to put a profile picture, you click on profile, you can upload an image. I prefer if you guys have pictures attached to your names, that way I have a face with a name and it's not so weird being in an online environment. I know you're human, that type of thing. If you want to set up notifications to make sure you have updates when course content is released, when due dates are, if a Dropbox is closing, that type of thing, you can set up any of your notifications in this link here. You do have the option to either do text notifications or email notifications. I believe your default email is going straight to your campus email. I'm not sure if BeachBoard still allows you to change the email that all of your notifications get sent to. It used to do that. I know my default was set to my campus email, so just make sure if you're doing email notifications, you know which email it's going to. That way you check that email on a regular basis. Any other account settings can be taken care of in the link here. And I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. If there is something in the course that you're not sure how to find, this is the video you reference back to. I will have bookmarks in the YouTube link, so that way it's easy to find what you might be looking for. If you can't find what you're looking for, that's when you email me, and then I can help you locate any course content that you might be trying to find. Okay? Other than that, if you have any other questions on how BeachBoard is set up, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I can try to help you the best I can.